Welcome back. Over the last couple of days there's been quite a bit of discussion about the Terminus Decree, a single line of law that has been expanded into a full explanation, and we'll talk about what that explanation is in a moment, but it's leading me to ask a question, not just of myself, but of you, and technically Games Workshop, but they're not going to answer, which is, are we going to carry on just unveiling every mystery, just answering every question? Is 40k going to be a fully explained universe? And is this the start of that, or do you think we're safe for a little bit longer? Before that, however, this video is sponsored by Rune Fable and their Alchemical Origins Kickstarter. Rune Fable produce handmade artisan dice in the UK, and the Kickstarter has 6 different sets to choose from. Now, frankly, when Miles from Rune Fable reached out to me to ask about doing this ad, I immediately said yes, because, well, I've had a set of their dice for quite a while now, and it's one of my absolute favourites. Every set that Rune Fable makes is different. Every droplet of ink is placed by hand, and that means that if you and a friend both decided to get the Grave Mycelium set, for example, i.e. the one that I may have kept out of the samples that were sent for me to check out, you would both get a set of dice that is completely unique to you, even if the colour scheme is consistent across both. Look, I've seen each of these sets in very close detail, and I've had them in the lightbox taking some nice close-up photographs. They all look stunning. The Kickstarter is nice and simple. You get the set that you'd like, and if you want, you can add on a lovely vault to store them in. If you want more dice, you can buy more dice. And if you really want to push the boat out, there's a really nice curio case for you to store your collections in. There'll be a link to the Kickstarter in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Do go and check them out. They're beautiful. Thank you very much to Rune Fable for sponsoring this video. Now let's get on with it. So, the Terminus Decree, something that was really only mentioned here and there, and never with any particular clarity or any depth of information as to what it actually is. Know it's related to the Grey Knights, know that it's some sort of doomsday, end of all times thing, where someone will either unleash some sort of virus to wipe out the Space Marines, or, I don't know, it might just contain a massive bottle of whiskey so the supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights can drown his sorrows as the Imperium falls apart around him. Might just contain a nice VHS of Red Dwarf Season 2. Really, the whole thing was deliberately clouded in mystery, with a few hints given here and there as to what it could possibly contain and what it could possibly lead to should it be opened. And that has all changed, because they've just outright stated what the Terminus Decree is at this point. And my initial gut reaction to that is kind of a, but why? Why did it need to be declared now? Why did it need to be something that was unveiled at this point in time, if ever? One of the core things about 40k, one of the things that makes it so fun, or at least for me personally, is there's things that we don't really have the answers to. There's plenty of entities and weird stuff going on in the universe that is never really properly explained. It's left up to the imagination, it's left up to interpretation, it's left up to discussion amongst fans of the setting to try and work out what the hell is happening over there. What is this? What does it mean, if anything? That's one of the things that makes 40k so much fun as a setting, and as somewhere that is absolutely like jam-packed full of stories, a lot of them conflicting, and intentionally so. There's a whole like bureaucratic nightmare side of the Imperium alone, where there are multiple different organisations fighting for similar but different things. There's ordos of Inquisitors that are doing one thing, and other ordos just checking up on what the other one's doing. I'm pretty sure there's 2 that are doing completely opposite things, one of them trying to change something, and the other one trying to change it back. There's a lot of stuff like that in 40k, and I would argue that it used to be a bit more extreme in terms of random stuff that you have no idea whether it's true or not. There are some fairly big mysteries that are maybe not key or core to the setting, like the Lost Primarchs, but they are still things that are fun to have unexplained. They are building blocks that might be missing, but it's still part of the foundation, and it's still something that shapes the universe as a whole. The Terminus Decree is only a small thing, but it felt like something that was going to be maintained as a mystery, because there's more scope for speculation and just wondering what something this important could be that no one knows about. There's nothing like a grand secret that could be huge, whether or not it turns out to be something that could actually be doable or not. which is somewhat related to the actual update in the latest codex for the Grey Knights. You know what, I'll just read it out to you, okay? I'll put a little timestamp in so you can skip it, although a lot of the rest of this video is probably going to be talking about what it actually means and whether it would work or not. The Terminus Decree. Held in a simple wooden box that only the Supreme Grand Master may open, the Terminus Decree details the Emperor's final command to the Grey Knights chapter. The Master of Mankind can never be allowed to leave the Golden Throne, either return to life, reborn in another's body, or ascend as some kind of warp entity, and if he does, the Grey Knights must return him to his terrible duty. Indeed, they were created with the possibility of this event in mind, a task beyond the abilities of any other force in the Imperium. The decree offers no guidance on how such feats might be achieved, for it is neither a weapon nor a magic formula. Rather, the Grey Knights would themselves be the weapon on such a desperate day, one that would likely have to cut a path through the ranks of the Custodian Guard and many others to see its duty done. Now, if we ignore the logistics of the Grey Knights attempting to, I don't know, invade Terra and the Imperial Palace, facing off against the entirety of the Custodian Guard and the Sisters of Silence to get to a newly reborn Emperor, all of which sounds absolutely insurmountable and totally ridiculous, I mean, it's fine, I guess. But it's also no better or worse than some of the other theories floating out there. In fact, in some ways, it kind of crosses some of them in terms of how silly it is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Warhammer 40k, for all that people like to think it's incredibly serious, there is some silly stuff in there. And that silly stuff is a very nice foil and mirror to the things that are actually grim and dark and serious. You know, for every person getting turned into a servitor against their will as a punishment for a crime they didn't commit, and such punishment being enacted by a bloodthirsty, corrupt regime, you've also got an orc who really likes kicking people in the face because it's just an enjoyable pastime. You know, the two can live together, and they do in 40k. But there are points at which it feels like certain things cross the boundary of being fun silly and stray into silly. And tasking the Grey Knights with the, well, task of getting the Emperor back on the throne in the face of overwhelming adversity, it kind of feels like, ripe, this'll make for a great bolter porn book one day. Which, I mean, it probably will. Will it be a good book or a good story? I don't necessarily know that that's true, but there's potential. The main thing here, though, is just the fact that that mystery is gone. It's been replaced by something which is fine, I guess, and whilst there is a bit of value in knowing it, because should the event of the Emperor being reborn, reincarnated, ascending, turning into a giant lizard man, any of these things, we now have a definite thing that we know would happen in response to it, which is fine. But if it never happens, this is a throwaway bit of lore that explains something that didn't need to be explained because it would never be enacted. If it is going to be enacted, it actually probably would have been nicer to have it be revealed as a surprise at the time, and if it never happens despite the Emperor being reborn or becoming a fifth Chaos God, that just means that it was left out there for no reason whatsoever. It feels of the available options of revealing it later, not revealing it at all, or revealing it but then it being impossible. Doing it now is actually the thing that spoils it more than anything else. It's not just that the mystery is gone, is that it's setting up for something that feels contrived, but also probably won't make any difference to anything anyway, in which case, did we need to know it? And did it actually improve the setting overall? Or is it just a thing that we now know that really has no bearing on anything else? I mean, when you look at the core kind of element of it, an insurmountable task provided to a chapter that only that chapter can pull off, that's not even a unique storyline. That's not even a unique thing to put in a codex. That's not something that we haven't seen before. God knows 90% of Warhammer 40k literature is Space Marines doing things that really Space Marines shouldn't be able to do, and yet it doesn't set us up for anything new or different. It just sets us up for more of the same, and frankly, not knowing what it was and maintaining that mystery That's more interesting than being set up for more of the same. But that's just me. My main worry is that this is just kind of going to be even more of an ongoing thing. There's plenty of stuff that's been explained in the past, but this one particularly, it doesn't feel like there's any value in it being explained. And I think that's where the worry sets in, where it's a case of, well, this is a perfectly serviceable mystery where people can talk about it, have fun with it, and it's not going to be applicable, so there's no point explaining it, to, and now you know, and you don't really have anything to do with that information, it's just something that you know now, and that's just not as fun, you know? Anyway, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Feel free to let me know what you think down there. Thank you very much to Rune Fable once again for sponsoring the video. Please do check them out using the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you for the next one.